Hi guys, and welcome back to Cooks by Carrie. If you're new here, I'm Carrie, and in today's video I'm going to show you all how to make the viral baked feta pasta. I'll share some tips, tricks, and my thoughts on the final dish, so without further ado, let's get into the video. Now, I got this recipe from feelgoodfoodie.net, but there are lots, maybe even hundreds online that are all basically the same. This recipe only needed a few ingredients. You need 8 ounces of pasta of choice, 2 pints cherry tomatoes, a feta block, olive oil, sea salt, black pepper, a little bit of garlic, and you're supposed to use chopped fresh basil, but I didn't have fresh basil, so I just went ahead and used some dried basil. Now, to me, this recipe was pretty affordable and easy to make. But I personally and my whole family did not like the recipe. I actually don't recommend it, but I am going to show you what I did in case you want to give it a try, or if you want to see, a different opinion, because I feel like everyone right now is like, oh my god, it's so good. And to me, my whole family was kind of like, no, it's not. But again, that's just my opinion. You might have a different one. To start off this recipe, I am preheating my oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. The first step was to place all the tomatoes in a large baking dish and sprinkle the olive oil all over and add the salt and pepper and then place the feta block in the middle. For me, this recipe required way too much olive oil. A half a cup was so much. I would recommend like a fourth a cup. You really did not need to use this much oil. Now I'm going in with the salt and pepper, and in a second I'm going to add the feta block, and you're going to see that with the feta block and the tomatoes, I'm coating them in the oil, and this is important for the flavor. Now my oven is all preheated, and obviously the putting everything in the dish didn't take that long, so I'm going ahead and putting it in the oven, and I'm going to just move it to the middle. That's it. Now I'm setting a timer for 35 minutes, and this recipe was very true to timing. It took me exactly 35 minutes for everything to bake up. The reason you're going to want to bake it is so that the feta melts, and then you're going to have the tomatoes become extra juicy and have more of a roasted flavor. Now, while our feta bakes with the tomatoes, I have already boiled some water that was heavily salted, and there was a little bit of olive oil, and I'm adding in my pasta of choice. I use penne, but you could use whatever you want. Now, one little tip here is that the recipe only called for 8 ounces of pasta, but I think it would have been better if I would have cooked a full box. But maybe if you're only making for a few people, you only do a little bit. But you'll see that there's way more sauce to pasta ratio in the end, and that I would not recommend. Now it has been 35 minutes, and you'll see I have some bread in the oven at the bottom because that was also for this recipe. But you can see that all the tomatoes, they have burst open. They're roasting got a little bit of color, a little burnt or whatever. And then we have the feta block in the middle. And it honestly I was really happy with it. I thought it looked really good. Before we continue with this recipe, please subscribe, like, and leave a comment down below. I have a goal of 100 subscribers, so if you could do that, that'd be great. Alright, let's continue with the video. Now, this step is optional. If you don't want to blend all your ingredients up, you can just go ahead and mix it all up, make sure the feta is broken up, and add the pasta and eat it then. But I've seen a lot of TikToks and other videos of this, and to me personally, it looks pretty unappetizing when eaten that way. So I decided to grab my blender and blend it all up, and I'm going to blend in a few other ingredients, which you're going to see in a second. I'm just being careful to grab all the feta and all the oil, and you can see here really how much more oil there is than the rest. So again, don't use this much oil. Also, I was a little nervous about it melting my blender, but I have a pasta blender. This is a NutriBullet, I believe, and it did not melt, in case anyone was wondering. But I don't know about your blender, so do it at your own risk. A glass blender is probably better for this. Okay, to all that goodness, I am adding a half a cup of pasta water. This is optional, but I chose to do it because I thought it would make it taste better. We have 2 cloves chopped garlic. Mine is frozen, but I had defrosted it, so that's why it looks like that. And then I'm adding, no, that was the same thing. And then now I'm just going in, sorry, it's a little hard to see, with about 1/8 a cup of the dried basil. I only use about 1/8 a cup. And I'm about to blend it all up, and it actually looks really good. Like, the sauce did look very appealing. Just to me and my family, it just was not good at all, and I'll share my final thoughts near the end of the video. So now to this sauce, I'm adding in my pasta, and here's where you'll really see how like 8 ounces of pasta for this dish was small in my opinion. I mean, we have like a 1 pasta to 2 sauce ratio, and if you like a lot of sauce, then keep it as the way it is. But if you're just looking for like a little bit of sauce and pasta, then you're gonna want to make the full box. And when I had kind of eaten it, me and my family were like, well, it could have been good if there was a little bit of sauce and a lot of pasta, and maybe that's why we didn't like it, one of the reasons. But yeah, just overall, make more pasta. Here I am just going to serve it and plate it, and I'll share my final thoughts. So the pasta was very tangy, and this is because of the feta. And it might have been better if I didn't blend it because you'd get like those juicy roasted tomatoes. But I just thought it was way too rich, way too tangy and creamy, and it just was not something that I finished and not something that I enjoyed. And I think it's really important for me to say this because I was so excited to try it. It looked so good. It even looks good here, but it did not live up to the expectations. And I think something I was thinking about is like feta isn't really used in pasta, and so I think a reason why it's not used is because it's just doesn't mix well. And obviously this is just my own opinion. So many people on the internet right now are loving it, but I would just say that I don't recommend it because even though it is easy, it is affordable, it is not worth the time and effort and everything to make this. Alrighty guys, thank you so much for watching. If you make this feta pasta, let me know in the comments down below what you think. If you've made this pasta and you agree with me that it was not good, leave it in the comments down below. Other than that, just like, subscribe, and I'll see you for a new video on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time for Foodie Friday. Also, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Cooks by Carrie, and that's all. Alright, bye guys.